cider day here on the homestead. We have 2 bushels of cider apples. These are Honey Crisps. These are Macintosh. I think it'll make a good blend by the time we mix them all together. But wanted to go through and show everybody the setup and kind of how we do apple cider here on the homestead. So apples get rinsed in this bucket here. We change that water out fairly frequently, but they'll get rinsed there. Cut here. We either quarter them or put them in 8s, something like that, relatively big chunks. And then they come here. The heart of the whole process is our restored apple cider press. I'm not exactly sure how old this thing is. It says 1870 on it, but I'm not really sure how old that it actually is. But we restored it, about 10 years ago. Cleaned all the rust off, recoated everything, sealed all the wood so we could just hose it off when the time came. So this is what we use to grind up the apples and to press the apple cider out. We cheat. I know some people use slotted wood barrels. We use 5-gallon bucket setup that I have. That is a bucket in a bucket, and there's holes to drain it out and mesh to keep it in there. It's just easier to clean and easier to keep sanitary. Once we're done with that, the raw cider goes into this orange Gatorade container, for lack of a better term, and it gets stored there. From there, we'll take it out of here and put it in this pot and cook it over on our outdoor stove that we have there. We like to boil it, or not quite boil it. You get it to 165, 180 for about 10 to 15 minutes, just to make sure that it's heat processed. And then we actually jar ours. So I guess technically it's not apple cider, it's apple juice. But we'll put them in 1/2-gallon jars. And then this tank you see over here will be boiling water, and we'll hot water can them, and then we'll be good to go. Put it up in the basement. We'll have fresh apple juice for most of the winter. So come along, we'll take some video and show you how it works. Process for making apple cider is pretty simple. First, clean the apples. Second, grind the apples. Third, press the apples to get as much liquid out as you can. And last, enjoy the apple cider. Everything past that is essentially how do you want to preserve it and how do you want to make it last, which we'll get into in a bit. But apple cider could not be simpler. Now let's talk a little bit about how we preserve our apple cider. What you're seeing here is our outdoor stove that we use to elevate the temperature of the cider to about 165 degrees. What we found works for monitoring the temperature of the cider is a meat thermometer, and that was the orange device that you saw in the last scene. What we're doing here is after the temperature is elevated, we take care to skim off some of the debris that made it through the filter bag in the pressing process. Not a big deal if you leave it behind, it doesn't hurt you. We think it just makes for a better juice in the end. When it comes to canning, we like to use 1/2-gallon jars to can our apple cider, as it gives enough cider for everyone in our family to enjoy a glass at a given time. From here, once the jars are full, we'll move it over into the hot water bath canning process, where the jars will sit in boiling water for approximately 10 minutes. So the process went so well that we went out and got 5 more bushel of apples.
All in all, between what you see here, what we froze, and what we drank, we ended up with about 14 gallons of cider out of 7 bushels of apples. And that was in fact the problem. Those plastic buckets that I mentioned earlier would actually buckle and deform before we could press all of the juice out. And so we actually ended up leaving about 30% of our juice still in the mash. So for next year, we're gonna get stainless steel buckets and hopefully improve our output and the volume of cider we make. Thank you all for coming along on this journey. Please subscribe, like the video, give us a thumbs up. Thank you for all the support as we begin our YouTube journey, and we look forward to seeing you next time at the BYO Homestead.